Halloween is right around the corner, but not everyone wants to dive into the deep end of horror. Games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill are classics, sure, but sometimes the endless jump scares and heavy atmosphere can be a bit much. That doesn't mean you can't get into the spooky spirit, though. There's a whole world of cozy horror games, dark, whimsical adventures that give you the chills without keeping you up at night. The kind of games that feel like stepping into a Tim Burton movie, equal parts eerie and charming. So today we're counting down 10 incredible cozy horror games to get you into the Halloween mood. Starting off with Inside, which is probably the least Halloween game on this list. However, don't let that fool you. Beneath its quiet exterior lies one of the most hauntingly atmospheric experiences you can have this season. You play as a small, nameless boy, running through forests, fields, and cold laboratories that feel abandoned. There are no monsters waiting around corners. The horror comes from the world itself. A nightmarish industrial society where human experiments twist into surreal, grotesque forms. You're just a child trying to escape. Every step feels heavy, every action deliberate. When you climb, drag, or barely outpace a guard dog, you feel the struggle. Deaths are quick, quiet, and chillingly mundane. No spectacle, just consequence. Visually, it's simple yet stunning. Shadows and light painting a world that's both lifeless and alive. Inside may only last a few hours, but it's grimly beautiful, deeply unsettling, and strangely cozy in its melancholy. Your story begins with a sacrifice. A tiny lamb, surrounded by chanting cultists, is chosen to fulfill an ancient prophecy, to bring back the one who waits. The old gods tried to prevent that return by killing you, but death only starts your story. In the void, you meet the imprisoned god who offers you life and power in exchange for devotion. You rise again as a prophet, ready to destroy the false gods and free your master. To do that, you'll need followers, a cult, and that's where Cult of the Lamb shines, turning the sinister into the strangely wholesome. Half the game is dungeon crawling, slashing heretics, collecting bones and gold, and gathering loot. The other half is cozy cult management, farming, cooking, blessing your flock, and occasionally sacrificing one of them for the greater good. It's Hades meets Animal Crossing with a dash of blood ritual, darkly funny and beautifully self-aware. You can pet your followers one moment, then feed them to your god the next. Its cute art style keeps everything delightfully absurd, bright colors and cuddly chaos masking divine horror. If Stardew Valley spent one too many nights reading Frankenstein by candlelight, you'd get Graveyard Keeper. The game is cozy in the kind of way that involves harvesting organs, selling mystery meat, and making paper out of, let's call it, recycled material. Your story begins with a modern man hit by a car, only to wake up in a medieval village where a talking skull named Jerry informs you that you're the new Graveyard Keeper. What starts as a simple job, burying bodies and fixing up your graveyard, quickly turns into a darkly hilarious grind of crafting, trading, and morally questionable side hustles. The beauty of Graveyard Keeper is how every task spawns 5 more, yet somehow it remains strangely relaxing. Its pixel art and gentle music make it feel cozy, even when you're dissecting corpses or raising zombies to do your bidding. It's macabre, absurd, and strangely soothing. A morbid love letter to the cozy sim genre. Limbo is a world of shadows and light, where a young boy awakens alone in a forest and ventures toward something both familiar and unsettling. There's no dialogue, no instructions, just you and the cold, unforgiving world around you. Each puzzle hides quiet brutality beneath its calm surface. You'll drag boxes, pull levers, and navigate treacherous terrain where danger is always just around the corner. There's no music, no fanfare, just the cold, silent weight of each challenge. That's what makes Limbo so powerful. You're not guiding a hero, but a fragile child in a world that feels too big and too cruel. Every movement carries weight, every success feels earned. Limbo doesn't explain itself, and it doesn't need to. Whether it's a dream, an afterlife, or something in between, Limbo is the perfect companion for a cold October night. Trapped within his own nightmare, Bill finds himself wandering a dreamscape shaped by fear and memory. But this isn't a story about what hides in the nightmares, it's about what created them. As you explore, fragments of your life rise to the surface. The monsters you face aren't random, they're reflections of everything you tried to forget. At its core, In Nightmare is a stealth puzzle adventure. No combat, just running, hiding, and facing emotions too big for words. By the end, In Nightmare stops being scary and becomes something gentler. A dream about grief, healing, and learning to face what hurts. In the world of Lost and Random, fate isn't written in the stars, it's rolled on the table. Every child on their 12th birthday casts a single dice to decide their destiny. Roll high, live in luxury. Roll low, and you belong to the gutters of Onecroft. You play as Even, a girl from the lowest district, who sets out on a dangerous journey to rescue her sister Odd after she was taken by the Queen of Random. Along the way, she meets Dicey, a sentient dice who laughs, hops, and mumbles in a language only she understands. Together, they travel through 6 bizarre kingdoms, each built around a different face of the dice. The world feels handcrafted, blending the dark whimsy of Tim Burton with the bittersweet charm of Alice in Wonderland. Combat turns this fairy tale into something truly unique. Battles play out like living board games. Half action, half deck builder, half dice duel. You collect shards, draw cards, and roll dicey to decide your fate, summoning swords, bombs, or slow-motion magic as the world holds its breath between rolls. Some games try to feel like Halloween. Pumpkin Jack simply is Halloween. In the vibrant Ark-on-Ciel kingdom, peace has become boring. So the devil stirs up trouble, unleashing a curse across the land. To fight back, the king sends his wizard, and in response, the devil summons his own champion, Stingy Jack, a trickster-turned-pumpkin-headed knight. Armed with a snarky owl and a sarcastic crow, Jack cuts his way through haunted farms, burning swamps, and crumbling cathedrals on a quest that feels like digging through childhood Halloween memories. Visually, it's pure Halloween magic. Purples, oranges, eerie greens, and fog curling around windmills and graveyards. It's spooky but never grim, like a haunted carnival that welcomes you in with a grin. Pumpkin Jack is cheerful, eerie, and just a little wicked. A reminder that Halloween doesn't need terror to be thrilling. There's a certain magic in stories that find beauty in the dark, and Gloomy Eyes is one of them. It feels like a lost Tim Burton animation, part Corpse Bride, part Nightmare Before Christmas. The sun has long since vanished, leaving the world in endless night. From the darkness, the dead have risen. In this quiet apocalypse, 2 unlikely souls find each other. Gloomy, a gentle zombie boy, and Nana, a fearless human girl. You control both in what the developers call a self-co-op adventure, switching between them to solve puzzles that depend on trust and timing. And that's where the real magic of Gloomy Eyes lies. Beneath all its shadow and sorrow, it isn't a story about death or despair, but about warmth, the kind that lingers even after the sun itself has given up. From the moment you step into death's door, you can feel that quiet, bittersweet melancholy that hides behind its charming art style. You play as a tiny crow, a reaper by trade, tasked with collecting souls for a bureaucratic afterlife. But when one of those souls goes missing, you're thrust into a decaying world where death has been delayed for far too long. Everything feels off. Overgrown mansions, flooded crypts, and forgotten temples filled with beings who've cheated the Reaper's grasp. The tone walks a beautiful line between somber and whimsical. One moment you're fighting a giant urn witch who traps souls in pottery. The next, you're wandering through a field of overgrown graves, surrounded by quiet music and falling ash. It's haunting, but never hopeless. Every swing of your sword feels precise, every dodge purposeful. The combat is elegant and fast, but what stays with you isn't the battles, it's the mood. That lingering sadness of a world that's learned to live without endings. Death's Door isn't scary, but it's deeply haunting in its own reflective way. A gentle reminder that even in darkness, there's beauty in letting go. Few games capture childhood fear quite like Little Nightmares. It's not about monsters hiding under the bed, it's about realizing you're already trapped in their world. You play as Six, a tiny, raincoat-clad girl making her way through the maw, a colossal, rusted vessel drifting in endless darkness. Every hallway groans, every shadow moves, and every creature that notices you means certain death. What makes Little Nightmares so unsettling isn't just its grotesque inhabitants, it's the scale. Everything around you feels impossibly large, making even a chair or a kitchen counter feel like an obstacle. You're small, fragile, and utterly alone, sneaking past monstrous cooks and guests who feast like animals in a nightmare banquet. There's barely any dialogue, but the world tells its story through design. Grease-slicked tiles, flickering lights, and the distant hum of machinery. It's a place that feels alive and wrong in equal measure. The animation is slow, deliberate, almost puppet-like, adding to that uneasy dream logic where nothing quite moves the way it should. Little Nightmares doesn't chase you with loud scares. It crawls under your skin with imagery you can't forget. It's grotesque, beautiful, and oddly cozy. A bedtime story whispered in the dark, where the ending doesn't promise safety, only survival. So, there you have it. 10 cozy Halloween games that prove spooky doesn't always have to mean scary. Sometimes it's about the atmosphere, the flicker of candlelight, the crunch of autumn leaves, and the strange comfort of getting lost in a world that's just a little bit eerie. Of course, there are plenty of other games that could have made the list, charming, haunting, or just perfect for a chilly October night. So let us know in the comments, what are your favorite cozy Halloween games? Which ones do you always come back to this time of year? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. It really helps the channel out. And if you're new here, consider subscribing so you won't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching, and wherever you are, have a warm drink, light a pumpkin, and enjoy the season. I'll see you in the next one.